Your own podcast, me, John Lebbon, Anthony Ellis, comedy legend Nina Gilligan, and your dog, I don't know what the dog's called.
Nessa.
Hello, Nessa.
No, that's the end of that one.
And obviously, we might as well kick off with the politics, because I know you're banging your politics. What have you made about Trump and Biden?
Oh, I'm just absolutely loving it. It's the best thing ever. It's the best entertainment in it during lockdown. He's such a sulky child. He's such a man-child.
Well, it's weird. I don't think anyone's voting for Joe Biden. I think it's either you like Trump or you hate Trump. But I think poor Joe, he doesn't know what day of the week it is, which is a benefit for him.
I think he could have put a pig against him. Like, literally, they could have put... That's what I was saying to my husband. They could have, put just a pig in... And people would have just voted anyway, just to get rid of Trump. They would have voted for a pig.
Yeah, well, but they said, didn't they, that he was the perfect candidate because he's never going to say anything. He kind of just stands there, and you have to give him a bit of a shake to wake him up.
Yeah.
And they said that basically because he won't say anything inflammatory, then that's fine. That's the perfect person to go up against. I know what you're like. I know what you're like.
This is my least favourite word in the world is purchase. But you can't, it's like a man word, isn't it? Purchase. But you can't get purchase on Biden because there's nothing about him, is there?
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can get actual hold on.
You can sell the good story because of his
man in the universe. He's you couldn't slag him off either way, could you? There was nothing.
Them videos of him sniffing kids. Weird.
He sniffs kids.
Have you not seen the videos?
No, I have not seen the kids sniffing.
Oh, okay, well once we're finished with the podcast, John will send you the video. I'll be honest, right? I always thought because
was it in his younger days though?
No, it's in the last.
Did he inhale?
No, it's in the last. It's
as long as he didn't inhale.
You see 4 or 5 girls pulling away from him.
Pull away, and he just pulls them and just and it is a little bit creepy.
I quite like a baby's head. I have sniffed a baby.
Some of them are 15, 16 old.
Yeah, 15, 16, with the parents there, and he's pushing the parents away whilst pulling them in. It is a little bit weird, to be honest with you.
And he said, what did he say? He said, poor kids should have the same... Poor kids can be just as good as white kids, when he said that speech. And you're like, if Trump had come out with that, I feel like the media...
Racist and paedophile in one sentence.
Yeah.
And he's the winner. And I just think, I'm not into both. Do you know what I mean? I don't think the media's been totally honest with both sides.
Yeah. But the thing is, you can't turn around and say he's an old man who doesn't know what he's saying, and then turn around and go, and he's a bit... Because, that's the problem, isn't it? Because they'll turn around and go, well, he didn't mean to say
I'm
black
just
kids.
very surprised that this hasn't been unearthed in a sort of more public way, given that the Trump camp would have been out to get him.
Yeah.
You've got to admit that
sniffing kids would have been all over
but
the telly.
But you've got to pick your battles, and Trump isn't going to go down the sexual harassment route, is he?
No, this is true. People in glass houses.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got to stay clear of that.
Yeah.
But do you think he might overturn it?
No, I don't think he's got a hope in hell, and we're just going to love every single minute of him trying to. I like the fact that he's gone really quiet about it as well, because he's not out much, is he? He's not...
He's been playing golf, hasn't he?
He's played a bit of golf.
Yeah, he's been playing a bit of golf, because I think he sort of secretly knows he's going to have to back down. So he's just not being that public about it, and he's just wringing out the last bits of power that he has, and just enjoying that Biden's having to be in a little theatre in Wilmington. Never heard of Wilmington before.
Would you be bothered if you're a billionaire though? I don't see the upside for Trump. If he does this, media's on him every day, just walk away, buy an island or something like that, have a life.
Can he though? Because he's a total narcissist.
Yeah.
He's a complete... He's like definition of narcissist, isn't he? He can't lose. He can't lose. He can't, didn't he say about soldiers that he can't celebrate heroes, so heroes that have died in battle because they're losers?
Someone got caught or something.
That was it.
Anybody who's a loser, he can't celebrate. So he can't be a loser. So this is just his worst nightmare.
Yeah.
He got the highest vote ever, Trump, apart from Biden. I think that's a bit weird. So, remember when Obama won? I can't remember who Obama was against, because it was just a landslide, wasn't it? So Trump got more votes than Obama did.
John McCain.
So it is weird, isn't it? How the only person that's ever got more votes is Sleepy Joe the same week, isn't it? I just find that like
Sleepy Joe.
But that's because he's so divisive that he's pulled people into politics. Like people that were on the kind of like would have been a little bit, you know what? It doesn't really affect me. Like as long as I got my job and that kind of like, and I'm on the bench, I'm not really that bothered. But he's been so divisive that he's kind of pulled people like out of the houses and into the voting booth.
Yeah, because he's polarising, isn't he? And it's a bit like politics in this country now. I think people that like weren't voting when maybe 10 years ago, even like my kids are a lot more like politicised than they would have been sort of 10 years ago. Like people were, you couldn't get people to even talk about politics 10 years ago. But in the last 10 years, in the last 2 to 3 years, people are all over politics now, aren't they?
Social media is the worst. Like no one can have a discussion about it. It's like tribal, isn't it? Do you know? People,
you're actually for or against. There's nothing in the
there's
middle.
there's no like conversation
areas.
or not like that. And you've got people giving you advice about politics who can't get a bath. Do you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't trust them to make a sandwich or something like that. And they're trying to tell you how Brexit and stuff's going to affect
everything's a referendum.
Yeah. But social media, nothing that's made the world worse. Like the last 10 years, like with stuff like politics, I preferred like a John Major. Didn't even know what was going on. You just get on with your life. Whereas now, every decision, isn't it, on social media?
I used to really get upset because that sort of period that we had post-Thatcher, where I was in the workplace before I came into comedy, I used to be a Unison representative, and I used to be like banging the drum at work trying to get people to join a union, and nobody was interested in politics at all. And now I think I sort of crave those times when nobody was interested in politics at all, because now every fucker's got an opinion and most of them are wrong.
Yeah.
Or just ill-informed or very polarised, like you say, and there's nothing in the middle. I think like there's just no sort of nuanced debate now.
I don't understand. Like, if I just say me and you supported Conservative, I supported Labour, and you put something out, I said something, I wouldn't expect to think, I hate him now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have a conversation, and I think now everyone has their own little echo chambers, don't they? So they're just hearing information they want to hear.
Yeah.
And then anyone that comes in with an alternative opinion, like, oh my God, they're like an outsider, aren't you? Like, they're stupid. I'm right.
Well, it's gone so far. Like, you know my politics. Like I'm on the left. Fucking you, Kim. Oh, yeah.
I can tell by looking.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, it's the shades, isn't it? Yeah. But I've always been on left. But over the last 4 to 5 years, I kind of think, am I still left? Or because the parameters seem to have been moved that far now. Like, you know, with the whole woke thing and all that kind of stuff. And it seems to have moved that far now. I think, am I central now? Or am I right? Like, I'll never ever vote right. I'll always vote left. But it just seems that they're weird, as you say, and especially with the arguments going on now, like the and the context that's being taken out of everything now, and that's the bad thing about Twitter.
There's something really interesting that's happened, whereas that if you agree with something, somebody will jump on that and assume that means that you agree with a whole load of other things that you don't necessarily agree with. Like there's some sort of implication that by saying that, oh, actually, I do think it's a good thing that we have freedom of movement, that then therefore means that you agree that we should have open borders in every sense, and we should have this and this and this and this and this, and that blah blah blah. And you're not allowed to have any cut-off points whatsoever, or you're not allowed to have any perspective taken.
Yeah. You know, like has comedy gone more woke, like in this country?
It's always been a bit like that, hasn't it?
I think in some ways it should be woke. I mean, I absolutely don't think there's room for. Like, so we're just talking about that now, aren't we? Like, I absolutely don't think there's room for misogyny and racism and all those things in comedy when it's done with intent and it's done to actually when it's done to punch down on people, and I don't find it funny. And there was a really interesting study done about that, where if you are racist, they did a study about it where it was like there was racist jokes made in a comedy club, and what they were able to prove through it was that it didn't make the people in the room who weren't racist, But what it did do was it emboldened the people who were already racist in their views and made them more entitled to be racist. Coming back to Trump, you know, it's that kind of dog whistling, isn't it?
Yeah.
To the people in the country who hold those views, that like, strap on your guns.
Yeah, justify their views.
Yeah. So I do absolutely believe that in my view, why would we want to do that, and why would we want to have that sort of culture in comedy where we do that? And it's not fucking funny, is it?
No, that's a bit. I don't like people always say you can't be funny anymore. Well, Peter Kay fills out arenas, doesn't go anywhere near any of these subjects, and people are like, oh, no one can be funny. Like, you don't go anywhere near that. I've never done anything like borderline, and you just think, well, just do stuff that's funny. And I think sometimes when they do it, it's not funny either. So it's sort of like offensive and not funny.
Well, that's the problem. Like that like the absolute top comedians, like Bill Burr and the American ones, like, you've got to be clever. Even Ricky Gervais on this time, you've got to fucking make that joke absolute waterproof, like where nobody can get at you. And then if you do that, you might be able to like at least talk about the topic and make a joke on the subject.
It's really interesting.
But if you go too far over it, and then as you say, and then you proceed to be a misogynist or a racist, that's when the cancel thing comes in.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think there's nothing wrong with talking about a topic, and I think like when you're talking about censorship, I think you should be able to talk about absolutely any topic. So I'm not saying like don't talk like. So, because some people get touchy, like, and they think they're like, oh, you stopping me talking about anything. No, talk about whatever you want. If you want to talk about race, if you want to talk about gender, if you want to talk about whatever you want. Nobody's saying like don't talk about it, but it's how you talk about it, isn't it? That's the real key thing. And the people that are really clever are able to talk about it in such a way that they just like, I see it like a tightrope. Do you know what I mean? They're able to like walk the line. And if you want to talk about it, be good.
Yeah.
Because actually, like, the person you fuck up before you fuck up anybody is yourself.
Yeah.
Because we all know, like, when you play in a room, it is literally like playing an instrument, isn't it? And you hit a bum note. And you're going to hit a bum note really quickly. Let's take sexism, for instance. You're going to hit a bum note really quickly if you want to go down the sexist route or misogynistic route with a room that's made up of male, you know, probably half and half male to female ratio. And if you want to take that risk, go fucking right ahead. But you're probably not going to get booked again at the very least.
Well, some comedians don't read the room though. We were on the same bill as someone, weren't we, once? And the manager come over and it was a room you could tell they voted for Brexit. They were openly talking about Brexit. We were there.
Oh God, yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. Like, vote for whatever you want. We were there, and like me and Nina was sat there, and the other guy was there, and he heard the exact same conversations. And the first thing he got up went, "If you voted for Brexit, you're a fucking idiot." And you thought, "Oh, what have you done?" Like that, and then everyone's just like, "Oh, fucking shite," like that, and like you couldn't have started any worse. And you think you've just got to sort of read who you're with and things like that, haven't you?
Well, I remember going to watch a gig, going to watch one of yours. Remember, I won't say the place, but it was in Manchester. And I remember you got up on stage, and it was an ironic joke that he got up on stage and went, "Hey, now we voted for Brexit. These bloody Africans can go back, can't they?" Now that's obviously an ironic joke because Africa isn't in fucking Europe. And some idiots back went, "About fucking time someone said it," and I went, "Oh God."
Yeah. Irony's a real like. Yeah. It's a kind of olive of. It's an olive of comedy, isn't it? You've got to like really sort of. But that's it's a bit of an acquired taste, and you've got to be careful where you serve it.
But that's the thing. Had he done that joke in, say, a student union, with people more switched on, they would have got the irony in the joke, and they probably would have went down alright. Yeah. What happens? It went down fine because obviously they took that side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, you know, in terms of like you're talking about the misogyny and the racism and all that. Like, do you still get like your Chubby Brown like style and your Jim Davidsons?
There's different circuits, isn't there? There's different like the normal circuit.
I have sat in like I remember being, and I love Stan Bowman. Like, I love the bones of the man.
Dead nice fellow, isn't he, Stan? I've only met him once or twice.
He's a lovely man, and I do some gigs for Stan, for the Lighthouse charity, and I remember. It wasn't Stan that was doing it because Stan's material isn't sexist, But I was coming on, and there's about 500 men in this audience, and they're all in these like long banquet tables ahead of me, and they're all wearing suits and rigger boots. Do you know what I mean? They look like they've just been to court, and and I'm waiting to go on, and there's a guy before me who's going to do his like 40-minute corporate set, and it is just like old school woman wearing a G-rope. You know, took the wife out last night, one punch. And it's just, and I'm just like, I can feel myself, and the lads who are listening to it, they're laughing, and I'm the only female in the room, apart from the odd waitress, and they're laughing, but they're also looking at me.
Yeah.
And there's this just kind of odd, awkward atmosphere where they're kind of like, I'm mortified. I think a proportion of them are mortified, where they're sort of saying to themselves, this is kind of stuff those lads do, isn't it, when the women aren't here. And
bit of mob mentality as well, and they're like,
it's a shock laugh as well, isn't it? Sometimes I think, you're like, oh, I did laugh at that, or
and there's just a sort of acceptance of it, like this is a sort of slight, like this is not of this time, or do you know what I mean? It's like accepted because it's like quaint, old school.
Corporate's a bit like that though, isn't it? Corporate, like, you'd never get up on the Comedy Store or Frog and Bucket. You come up with a joke like that, they probably play the music loud and you get marched off. When I've seen, like, I think it was at the Stand, and it was just a new material night. Oh no, the Wednesday Raw night. Yeah. And the guy went up before, like, I was waiting to go up, and he went up and he started doing like Chinese eyes. Yeah. Chinese voice. I was like, oh my God. And they just played the music on. And he come on and he went, why have you played the music? I went, you're doing Chinese eyes? You know what I mean? Like, where are you from?
Stan Boardman does, you know, he does like, I mean, and Stan Boardman is a funny man, but he does he does stuff that's a bit on the edge, isn't it? With, if you think about it, he does the kind of, doesn't he do the dresses up as the Germans and...
Yeah, like he got into trouble, like
the Messerschmitts. Was it the Fokker? The
Fokkers.
The Fokkers, yeah. But I mean, he's a genuinely funny individual, but that old school stuff, it still does go on, but it goes on kind of in the same way. It just kind of goes on behind closed doors.
Is it you work in men's clubs and stuff like that?
It's a kind of private...
Right.
Yeah, it's a sort of private corporate land where it's still
people know it's happening, don't they? Like they always say, if you're easily affected, like if you're going to Chubby Brown night, you're expecting it, aren't you? I think on a normal comedy night, I think if that come on now, you'd be a bit like.
And I heard on Chubby Brown, like I heard, because I was performing at the Last Laugh in Sheffield, and he was on in the big room, and I was on in the back, and we were in the dressing room. And we could hear his set, and it was disgusting. Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't even funny, but it wasn't even like, what I really noticed about it, because he has these massive bounces. I mean, these guys are like 10 of you, do you know? Just these fucking hench guys that just used to come out the back and go, alright. And it's like a rally.
Yeah.
They go for... It's like it sort of represents a whole set of values. Yeah. And the jokes he was telling, like, I don't think they were even listening to the punchlines. It was just this kind of jeering at the end of it. And a lot of it was quite sick and quite sexual and just a bit, like, off. Well, very off. But the thing that summed it up for me as the whole gig... was that I was talking to one of the bouncers out the back, and it was like, oh, how's it going? He was like, oh yeah, they're all a bit drunk tonight. Somebody took a shit on the ladies' bathroom floor.
Glamorous, isn't it? It's just the glamour you go for.
And I kind of thought, you know what? A gig where somebody took a shit on the ladies' bathroom floor kind of summed up for me that nobody was there for the comedy, were they? Like, not even just people were just to get fucked up, weren't they? And like it's a rally
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle, that.
It's almost like, as you say, a lot of that crowd now will be laughing harder, like, because I'm not allowed to laugh at this. Well, like, people are telling me, well, you know what, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna laugh loud.
And
sort of strengthens
they
it.
were so. Everybody was like, you could see it after people were piling out, and people were just mortal drunk, like unbelievably off their heads, and there was just like everybody's just jeering, and it's just. It was like going to like more like a rock concert.
Yeah.
And I think they're just following him because he's slightly outside what's now acceptable.
Yeah.
What's the worst gig you've done? Because I was telling Anthony, I remember that time when I cable tied my finger.
You what?
Well, like, we'd done a show, me and Nina turned up, there was 80 fellas in a room, they'd been drinking all day.
Oh my God.
And the guy come behind and he went, you ready to go? And we're like, is it in there? It sounded like Game of Thrones, you know, like, there's no music on, you could just hear drunk lads fighting, and we were like, oh my God. And we're like, oh, where's the microphone? He went, do you need a microphone? I'm like, oh no, like, I was panicking, I was like, I don't want to do this. And I had a cable tie, and I was playing with a cable tie because I was nervous, and she went, you're going to do that to your finger? I'm like, no, I'm not an idiot, like that, and I just kept playing with it. And then I had my hand like that, and I hadn't spoke for about 10 minutes, and then they went, where's that cable tie? And she went, let us have a look at your hand. And I went, honestly, what colour did that thing
I'd lost a
blue
finger.
or black. Honestly, I was like, and then they went, you jumped up, didn't you? Look for a knife. She's hacking it off.
Yeah.
And we had to go on, didn't we?
I forgot about that.
Honestly, they cut my finger off trying to, like, because it was going like a purpley blacky.
I know. I always know when John's really worried because he does this thing where he taps his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's nervous tapping. Yeah. I know things are really bad when he arrives at a gig and John's like that. He's
done that, right? I swear to God, he's done that since he was 11 years old, right? Like that's nervous. This is excited.
Okay. The nervous bit, this is not going to go well, Nina. I think the worst one I ever did, like, I've had so many bad ones, like, I'm a class act, so I get booked for some really shit gigs. So, one of the worst ones I ever had was a Remembering Sunday, just because Remembering Sunday's just gone, so that's reminded me. So what they decided, so it was like a, what kind of club would have, remember it, like
social clubs.
Social club.
Working men's, or maybe like a Rafa club or a
So it was one of them, so it was a Remembering Sunday, so it was all the old guys, the ex-forces guys who were average age of 70, just in their uniforms, who'd been down to lay a wreath, who'd come back to the club, probably had a lunch, feeling already a bit dozy, and then a man just came up to the stage, no music, and just went, right, we're going to have some comedy now, and then I had to go on. Just me.
Just hearing your footsteps going to the stage.
Just me, and like, my stuff is pretty bawdy, probably appeals more to women.
Yeah.
And I had to do it to some old... And like, if they didn't have fucking PTSD before, they did after. And at one point, like, there was some men stood at the bar who were just watching this horror unfold as I was just being stared at. And this bloke, like, leant over to my husband and tapped him on the shoulder and went, do you have to put up with this shit at home?
People don't realise how harsh comedy is. They're like, it's not like music, like, just say you got up and
I remember I got 120 quid in an envelope, I think it was 120 quid. And I remember, like, the money felt so dirty that I made my husband drive me to Denton, and I think I just spent it straight away. I think, like, I bought some shoes or something, like some boots or something, like, because I was like, I can't even keep the money.
Yeah.
I can't even keep the money because I'm so, like...
yeah.
I was gonna say, you know when a show is going that bad?
Yeah.
Like, can you tell that it's going that bad straight from the kickoff?
Oh, yeah.
You know, before you get on, I'd say...
Oh, God, that was like, I always call it, like, road conditions. So the road conditions were not good. Like me and John were talking we were talking earlier about like Zoom gigs and lockdown and like Zoom gigs. What is a Zoom gig? You know.
Click your mouse if you're enjoying yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, production values have been. We've got a cameraman today. You know, he's probably trained to do this job.
He's lovely as well.
But yes, he is lovely, and the production values have been honed over a number of years. That you suddenly don't want a fucker in their bedroom sitting in front of the computer pretending they're Martin Scorsese doing a gig. Yeah. It's just bullshit. Like you know that like comedy is meant to have a live audience. That is how comedy works, isn't it? Mm. Live at the Apollo tries to mimic live comedy experience, and I think they struggle. Sorry, Live at the Apollo. Obviously,
it's the hardest gig to do, apparently. Isn't
yeah,
it?
I wouldn't knock it back if they asked me, but you know, I think that's hard to recreate the feeling of live comedy. Even on the only place I ever thought they did it well was like Friday Night Live, maybe in the 80s. But to even recreate live comedy on telly is incredibly fucking difficult. Zoom gigs, nigh impossible. But that idea of just, you know when the road conditions are bad. So you can walk into a room and sense when the road conditions are bad. So even something like, we were joking before, like a cavernous room with a high ceiling, and then you've maybe got banquet tables that are 16 foot apart. With groups of people who are not like, you know, they're not all facing forward and they're just quite separated, and the mic's got the quality of, you know, they've borrowed it from a child's bedroom and they usually use it to sing karaoke on.
Did you really do that together?
Yes.
It was, you know when kids do like a loud box karaoke in like a plastic microphone? We've done a show with that before.
Yeah, and you...
Swear down. It was like a little plastic thing. It was like, hello everybody, and you have to carry it around with you while you're doing your set.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, like the text awful. I did a gig, this was really bad. So I turned up and it was a corporate agent I've got. He's a lovely man. He's from the Midlands. He's also from the 1950s, and he wears a brown nylon suit, and he's called John. And he's a lovely man, and he gets me corporate gigs, which basically means you pay danger money.
Yeah, that's all it is.
They're genuinely a bit shit.
Right.
So so he'd asked me to do one in Wales, which was a holiday camp.
Right.
So already I'm a bit fucking nervous about it because I could go either way, and my material's a bit adult. Yeah. So I said, no kids, there'll be no kids, will there? So I turn up, and I'm just death stared by some woman called Barbara, you know, with bleached blonde hair, who kind of goes, yeah, you're through there. And I go through and there's just children knee sliding across the ballroom floor. And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So, you know, I was like to Barbara, I can't do it. She said, well, you'll have to do it. I was like, well, Barbara, quite frankly, I'll be ringing my agent. You know, I can't do it, Barbara. So I rang John, and John was like, oh, bear with me, Beanie, bear with me. Obviously, there's been a problem with the booking. We will sort this out, don't worry. So they said, right. So she was pissed. Barbara was pissed. So she said, they had a talk. So they said, right, what we're going to do, we're going to put you in the other bar, the pirate bar. So pirate bar was round the back, where there was a fucking pirate that was just a skeleton wearing a pirate hat. Sat in the corner. So there's a fucking skeleton sat in the corner. There's these pissheads that just are permanently based there, who must live on the north coast of Wales, who don't even go on the holiday camp. They're just about 20 of them, who look not pleased to see me because I've just interrupted what is just their normal night out. No mic, no fuck all at this point. So I just go in and they're like, well, what's she fucking doing here? They're like, well, she won't go in there because these kids, so she's going to have to do a comedy night in here now. And I was like, what? Right? And they were like, and I was like, can I get a mic? Oh, she wants a mic.
Yeah, that's the sort of crack you've got to put up with, isn't it?
So he goes and gets me a mic. While she's away, one of the women comes up to me, like fucking vaping into my face, was going, the last person that came here didn't need a mic. So already they've taken totally against me.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at this room thinking, well, there's no good setup. There was like nowhere, obviously, you could have a stage. So they set up the mic in front of the bar. Just like in front of the bar area. So there's the dead man in the corner, the skeleton in the corner, there's the regulars, there's me in front of the bar. And I thought, right, I'm just going to have to just get through it. Just think of the money. So it was 400 quid.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're literally just thinking of the 400 quid.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll just do it to the skeleton. So a few people...
They do it on a timer, don't they? If you hit your time, honestly, I've done it before.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
45 minutes, no warm-up, just me. And at this point, there's a few people trickling in. There's a woman comes in, she's got a dog. The dog barks every time somebody claps. She won't much, as it turns out. So...
I'll say skeletons don't clap.
No. So she she brings a little chair and sits at the front. Oh, yeah. So I starts, and there's this guy and he's been drinking all day. So he fucking hates me. So every time I ask a question, you know, like you ask a question as a comedian and it's meant to be, what do they call it? Rhetorical songs. He decides to take a survey of the audience. So if I said, so have you ever heard of such a thing? He gets up and goes, well, what do you think, everybody? Have we ever heard of such a thing? And then, to add to that, the barman starts heckling me. The fucking barman starts heckling me. It's like the people that work there start heckling me. So I was just like, I don't believe this. Like, this is like literally the worst. This is the worst gig I've ever done. So I've got a skeleton, the barman is heckling me, the dog is barking, I've got that cunt repeating every question that I'm asking. And then there's this so like halfway through, this trail of girls, pissed up trail of girls, comes in and start queuing for the bar. They start fucking ordering bloody Lamborghinis and gin and tonics next to me, just like that, just fucking ordering them. And I'm just like, what? Like nobody's listening now, are they? Just like nobody's listening. And I just sort of read, and Mark sat, my husband, you know Mark, he just sat on this settee and he's just dying. And he's just going, come off. Come off.
Sometimes it's that bad though, you want to carry on, don't you?
And I just thought, no, you can fuck off. And I just sort of read, and I was wearing this like jumpsuit thing, catsuit thing. And I just remember, and I just fucking took it off. So I had nothing. I just had my bra on. And I just took it off and I went, is this what you fucking want? Is this what you want? Do you want a fucking stripper? Would that make you more fucking interested? Dogs barking. Alright!
It's just awful.
See, I'm not like...
I just had the most, like, public meltdown I think I've ever had. And it, like, they were like that, just in fucking stunned silence. And I came off just like to nothing, just like a slow, you know, just the sound of your own footsteps.
Yeah.
And I thought, you can fuck off because I'm having that fucking 400 quid. And I walked to the office in the back and I was like, can I get my money? She went, oh no, it's backs. And I could have punched her because I thought it was cash. And how disappointing is it when you find out it's backs? Because now I'm thinking...
They might not pay you.
They might not pay me because I'm stripped.
Yeah.
But she went, you did all right.
Yeah, that's a worse than the start.
I was like, what?
Have you ever
That was my my worst gig ever.
Have you ever refused to go on? I've only done it once when
I nearly refused to go on that.
Sully or Sullivan, I was doing, I think it was a festival or something, and it was just on a field. So there was two.
Oh, I did one of them.
There was music on there. They had a rock band on there, guitarist on there,
I
they had a
know
DJ there,
was.
and it was all within about 20 feet of each other.
Was it Cash Converters?
I can't remember. And they went, "Are you one of the comedians?" I must have reckoned. I went, "Yeah." And they went, "Where do you do
In
comedy?"
a little pen?
No, it was just outside. So in between 3 stages, you were meant to do comedy. No one was there to watch you out. And I said to Sully, I went, "I'm not doing it." No, how long do you need? And they went, "We need 45 minutes of comedy."
Yeah.
And Sully went, they said the money. I went, "Well, I'll take my petrol and you can do it." Sully went, "Fucking," and Sully he done alright. He got people to carry him round and like dirty dancing, like doing a conga and that. And I just thought, hats off to you. I ran. I can remember running and giggling like a child, like, no way I'm doing that. And I got in the car, I was like, no.
They did one for, I nearly didn't do it, they did go on for a rugby gig for me, and they decided, instead of saying I was a comedian, that it was for all men, and I followed a stripper, and they said, instead of saying I was a comedian, they'd say I was the head of Women's Rugby Association.
Right.
So they already hated me.
The rugby do. I don't like. People always say, "Hey, get a comedian." You think you don't want one.
No, they didn't want one. They didn't want me. I was stood on the top table by the end of it, and I was spanking a man with a ladle.
Yeah.
And I lasted 15 minutes, and they paid me. And after it, they were like, "Oh, you're not staying for a drink?" And I was like, "No," died on my ass. And they were like, "Oh no, you did better than the lad last year. He only did 5, and we carried him out in the car park and left him in the car park."
See, here's the mentality of used to another. I think once you've died on your ass, do you not come away from it going, "I'm not doing this again. I'm never ever getting up on
stage." It makes you hard. I think the first time I ever died on stage, I got these red lines down here, because you just accepted anything at the start. You're like, "Oh, comedy. I always have to strip. It's brilliant. You're going to be on at 2:00 in the morning." And I remember it was right at the start, and they had like a musician on, a magician. I think I followed the Amy Winehouse tribute. I'd only done about 8 gigs.
Yeah.
And I thought, went on about 11:30 at night. Went on. No one was listening. I could feel myself like wobbling. I thought, "Oh my God." And I went to the doctor and said, "I've got these like lightning lines down here." And he said, "People get it in severe stress situation, or like if you get kidnapped or something like that."
Oh,
and I thought, "What would I put myself through trying to do comedy in front of people like this?" And that's why now, honestly, if someone says, I always ask where it's at, what it's got, because I just can't do it anymore. I just think I can't go and do that anymore.
Well, I was at like a few of John's early gigs, and needless to what was the one in was it Culture? Was it something like Culture? The one
I've done my Culture.
When it was upstairs in a restaurant, and there was me, you, the guy that put it on. It might have been actually, was it Paul Henry? Or it might have been Bobby Murdoch.
I can't.
It was something like that. There was me, you, the guy who put it on, and 4 people in the front. And I remember thinking, and I think you'd done about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm thinking, why the fucking hell are you putting yourself through this in front of 4 people? Because it's awkward enough as it is.
Yeah.
And then you've got to come and try and make fuck that.
Small, like people always say, bigger audience. Bigger audience are brilliant. If they're quiet,
great.
It's when you've got 6 people in there, you're going to have to make 99.9% of them laugh every time you say something. Otherwise, it's going to be awkward. And it's worse when they're spread out. And I've done theatres before where they've put a comedy night and they put you in the big room or something. Like, why have you... We're in 1,000 seats, we've got 40 people here, spread all out, aren't they? And you just think, this just isn't working.
What was your worst gig?
My worst gig was in Bolton when I first set off. And I got there and it was behind a curtain and I thought, I don't want to go through because I could hear the MC on. I won't say his name, but I thought, went through and there was no one there, it was just him talking to himself, like saying, "Okay, everybody, who's excited?" And you're like, "Who's he talking?" He went, "I'm just practising." Sat down and I thought, who's he? And he went, "Oh, we've just got to wait." So 2 people walked in the pub and he went, "Oh, now we've got a crowd." So as soon as they come in, they sat down, they didn't know comedy was on, it was free. They'd just come out for a pint, him and his wife. And they went, "Do you want comedy?" And they went, "Do you have to pay for it?" And they went, "No." And they went, "Can do." Like that, and they just sat there. And he said, "When do you want to go on, John?" I went, "Get me on first so I can get out for you." So I went on, and then one of them, I was going through and they went, put his hand up and I thought, well, this is weird, a comedy room. And I went, "You're right." And he went, "Yeah, we want a cigarette." And I went, "Oh, you can go for one if you want." So I had to wait for them to go for a cigarette. But then the other people left. So just sat there like, like you're thinking about life, aren't you? And then they come back in and just finished off the last 8 minutes. I thought, what am I doing here?
Did they at least laugh?
Yeah.
Oh, they were giggling, but I mean, try and do comedy to two people. Like, don't want comedy, come off for a pint, probably on a date or something like that.
That's probably but a lot of them have been nervous giggles as well. It's like, oh my god.
There's another 5 or 6 acts going on after me. So you just think, oh my god, this is... But comedy's just like that, isn't it? It's just not... People think it's dead. Like, I've seen people that are on telly regularly just die, like the worst deaths ever. And I don't think people realise that's just sort of how it is, isn't it? You can do like 5 belter gigs and then get to the 6th and then, nah.
Yeah, there's never a time where you can just kind of go, oh, I've cracked it now.
No.
You're never there. It's not like a sort of a game where you've like, oh, I'm skilled at it now. I've cracked comedy. Like, you can only be in a situation where most of your gigs are a bit better set up. That's the best you can hope for, is like most of the gigs we do now until bloody COVID were a bit better set up. Like, we were at the point probably before COVID where we could probably count on that most gigs we did would probably have an audience of more than 3. You know, probably be set up by a real promoter with people that paid to be there and wanted to laugh and were facing in the right direction, which for a comedian, these are all brilliant things. And for COVID to come along and now for us to be in, I mean, one of my last gigs was like Sheffield Arena car park where it was pissing it down. Do you know what I mean? So I did for the Frog and Bucket, which was online, and I just did to Paul Jess Toomey and Colin in the Box. Do you know? So like, we've gone from just about getting to the point in comedy where it's about as good as it gets to being in Snakes and Ladders where it's like about as bad as it gets again.
Would you want to be a TV comic? Because there's a lot of people. I don't think I'm one. I don't want to be famous. I wouldn't want to be like a super name or like. I'd probably do a bit of telly. I just wouldn't want to do it like.
I don't think so. I realised like just because I ended up on Sky News. I was saying to you before, I ended up on Sky News for being like sexually harassed. It's like famous for being touched up. So if I ever get any, and I did BGT a couple of years ago.
Oh, Britain's Got Talent.
So yes, so I did. So that's probably a better anecdote. So I did BGT and I got 4 yeses, and it didn't get shown, but up until the point that it didn't get shown, I didn't know it wasn't going to get shown. And I ended up at the GP on tranquilizers because I was so affected by the idea that I was going to be on telly that I was one of those people that was like a nervous wreck. So I ended up on diazepam, like, true story.
Jesus.
I know, true story. I ended up on like diazepam because I was so nervous about the footage going out on TV, and it wasn't even like I'd done badly. I'd got 4 yeses. It was fine. I hadn't humiliated myself. Amanda and Carol had a bit of a row, as they do, but I got 4 yeses. It wasn't like I was going to be like humiliated in front of the nation. It was fine. But my response to it was like, I'm not very good at what I do being out of my control. And I think by the very nature of being famous, everything you do is out of your control.
Plus, if you do like a show, you walk away from it.
You're talked about in a way that you can't control.
Yeah.
You're edited in a way that you can't control. Everything you do is out with your immediate control, and I think there's something just lovely about doing a live performance where everything you do is within your control, and you have a lovely rapport with the audience, and you meet at them all, and you say goodbye, and you get paid on the night, hopefully, and it's done, and everything that happened, you know what happened, and you go, and it's just lovely, and it's really exciting, and you go and you put it in a box and you put it away and it's finished, and then you move on to the next thing. There's just something to me really scary about that fear of you making something, it going out there, you not knowing whether it's going to be well received.
Well, they edited
And
it
then
like, stuff like that, didn't they?
You getting a load of stuff back about that you're shit.
We'll just so you know.
Kiri, like, oh god, yeah. I know Kiri, like, with, like, my friend Kiri, who I'm doing that project with, like, she gets trolled loads now, because she's done quite a bit of TV now. She's just, like, getting loads of trolling online, and it's just horrible. And I just don't think I think, like, I'm quite sensitive.
You're just not going to read the nasty ones, have you?
I wouldn't enjoy it, you know. I wouldn't be good at it.
So, well, I always do the evening with celebrities now, and it's surprising that they always read the negative ones. So they'll have like 400 positive ones, and there'll be one saying so horrible, and they zone in on that. I would say, don't ever reply to a nasty one. Just reply to a decent one, don't it? Because if you reply once, I feel like you're opening that gear.
That's exactly like one of the first comments.
Wired to do that though, as humans, aren't we? Like hardwired because like that's your survival mechanism.
Probably. I mean, like one of the first comments that we got when we first started doing the podcast was, we done one with the bodybuilder Nathan Diasha, and one of the first comments. Sorry, no, it wasn't. It was Eddie Hall. And one of the first comments was, God, Eddie must be a really, really nice guy giving us time to these two fucking losers. And I was just like, oh, what the fuck? And I said to him, and he went, don't worry about it. Just don't even bother looking at it.
Just listen to Johnny Cash and that. Just looking at the windows. The person online.
Just staring at a rope.
So you've probably got the personality where you could cope with fame, and I'm not sure I could.
No, I couldn't. I don't even like social media. I hate
a lot of skeletons in that closet.
Yeah.
I don't even like
a lot of jobs.
I don't even like going for a night out and then looking at social media.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, you wake up the next day and think, oh, I've been tagged in the photo, I look like I've had a stroke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do I want that? Because you doom in the next day. Like, I think if I was hungover and famous, I think I'd jump in the river or something like that, because you're always looking at negatives. You don't have to get on your timeline and like, oh, I'm fat.
I think it's hugely seductive. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have the
money.
I'd love to have the money.
Yeah.
I'd love to have the options it would bring you. I'm sure it's really exciting, but I don't think I would. Also, I don't think I want the upkeep. I think there's a lot of upkeep when you're suddenly flung into the public eye, or you to produce all the time. I think I'm probably too lazy. I think there's something about the job that we do, just being on the live circuit.
Yeah. That's
actually just quite nice. It's like a manageable amount of work. I think can you imagine the amount of stuff you have to do if you suddenly the amount of work you have to do?
No, I don't know. It's one of them. I couldn't be bothered being famous just for the hassle and stuff like that. But also, I don't think I could go back to a normal job, if that makes sense. COVID's come along now.
Either.
I just think, oh God, I think if I got a normal job now, I think it would kill me.
Yeah, well,
Someone telling you what to do.
I worked for Test Track and Trace for 10 days. And I
wondered why that was
You're part of the problem.
I worked for it for 10 days and gave it up because I was like, I didn't even trace a single person. I only got through training.
Don't worry, we'll edit this bit out.
I only got through training, and then I was waiting for my logins, and I couldn't even cope with just being on a clock for 12 hours because I was like, well, my time's not my own.
What did you actually have to do?
Nothing.
Seriously?
Nothing. But I couldn't even cope with doing nothing because I was like, well, this time is not my own because what if I want a nap?
Does it pay well like that?
It was minimum wage.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but I was still like, what if I want a nap?
Yeah. What's the worst job that you've had? Because me and Auntie's had to. I'm working in a sunbed parlour, which is mental because I'm half albino, but it wasn't a good advert job centre. Matt Tucky's, what's that?
It's like a hybrid between McDonald's and Kentucky's.
Where was that?
Sounds like a classy joint.
It was, and in the morning my job was to when you've got the chickens in quarters, you have to the giblets.
Nice.
I used to have to flick out the giblets with my thumb, but they were still a bit frozen. So flicking frozen kidney giblets. Didn't like that.
Is that how you got into comedy? Because everyone gets into it slightly different, don't they?
God, no. That was like ages ago I had that job. So I was like, I was a probation officer. Probation service officer, because probation officer makes it sound like I was much more professional than I actually was. So probation officer is where you've done the degree. Probation service officer is a bit like a PSO, it's a bit like a police support officer. PCSO, yeah. So there's that in probation. So I was worked in probation for about 6 years, and then I had a bit of a breakdown. I got a bit fed up with it all, and I left, and I was dead depressed and everything. I just don't know why I'm laughing. And I just was I'd gone to have some, I want for some therapy with this lovely woman, and you had to write goals down of what you wanted to do with your life. And I used to do some acting, and she said, and I'd put down a goal of I'd quite like to do being an amateur dramatics performance or something like that. And then I did this, because I was well, I can't really be in an amateur dramatics performance because I've got kids, and then I'd have to I'd have to be on their timetable. I need to be on my own timetable. So I thought, well, stand-up comedy, you can really set your own hours.
Yeah.
So,
40 minutes a week.
Yeah.
2 nights, 40 minutes a week.
So I was and I always, when I did theatre, because I went to drama school when I was in my 20s, so I was when I did theatre, I always got the funny roles. So I thought, people used to think I was quite funny, but I never thought I could write comedy. I still don't think I can. I think I can perform comedy. I think that's what I'm good at. I was still never convinced I could write jokes.
I think jokes are hard to. It's a skill, isn't it? Some people can do 1,000 a day. Some people can't do one, can they?
No, and that's still the bit that I find still the bit that I hate. Is I really love the performing. I love the getting out on stage and performing stand-up. Writing stand-up, I still don't think of myself as a writer, because I kind of think, writing's for other people. Because I've never really saw myself as a writer, so I just kind of think, writing's definitely other people's skill. Even though I have to do it, because literally I would not work.
What's your worst job? Because Anthony's one of the people I know.
Christ.
Anthony could get a job you've got to put a million pennies in a bucket, and Anthony would just do it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of these where you people say, no worries, I'll do that for fun.
Well, because fucking bills need paying. I would do. Yeah, I mean, as happens, I've got a half decent job now, but it's one of those I was always brought up well, it's a job, just pay your fucking bills, and then go from there. My worst job.
You done wagon driving as well once.
Wagon driving, when I was on the lorries, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too, I tell you, the worst one. I was a night porter at a hotel in Blackpool on the South Shore, and you used to get the pissheads coming in and destroying the hotel. And I mean, it was a travel lodge. Other hotels are available, and this place used to get absolutely decimated on a weekly basis. That was probably the worst, because you get, fucking you fucking prick, you think you're fucking hard, and you're right, I'll just call the police, call the fucking police, tell them I'll fucking take the fucking line of them, and alright mate, yeah, cheers, thanks.
Would you prefer, this is what I was thinking to myself this week, would you prefer a job that was full on or a boring job? Which is worse? Or which is best?
Well, it's funny because I'm actually in the middle of moving house, and I'm thinking about taking a big drop in wages to do a job, and it's a big chunk in drop in wages to do something that I want to do, as opposed to where I'm at now. So I think I'm at the age now, and plus my wife earns a good wedge, so I'm a kept man a bit. So so I think I'm probably at the age now where I'd rather do something that I want to do, as opposed to just following the money. Do you know what I mean?
I cannot do boring.
Boring's worse, especially for your creative type.
I cannot do boring.
Yeah, my job's right, but it's just a bit, as you say, it is just a bit boring. It's just very, very repetitive. It's every single day is the exact same thing in my job. So yeah, I think I'm at that stage now where as you get a bit older, you go, well, I've got another 30 odd years to like of work, so you might as well do something that you fucking enjoy.
I've done so many jobs. I've done like everything. I've done like so many jobs.
What job were you going to say I've done then?
He done wagon driving, but it was funny because the week he'd done wagon driving, there was a programme called Doggers, you know. They only had masks on. And there was a wagon driver on. He went, 99% of wagon drivers are doggers, so it was just like the worst timing. And I can remember Anthony telling us when, because he was brand new to like wagon driving. Remember when you went for breakfast? He said the first time he pulled in truck stop.
Oh, yeah.
And the woman said, "What do you want?" He went to breakfast, and she went, "Do you want a number? Like you've got to say this certain number." And Anthony went, "I don't know any breakfast." And he said, "All the wagon drivers." Rookie. You know, didn't even know to ask for a breakfast.
Right, it's weird how like I will like you soon like. I remember I had to park up. I think it was somewhere down south. I had to park up on a lay-by. Now, obviously, once you parked up on a lay-by on an A road, you need to go to the toilet. Like, there's nothing else you can do. And I remember I'm holding in all night and going the next day. And I remember speaking to a lorry driver on a building site, and I'm going, "Just take a shit on the road. Everyone does it." And I was like, "Seriously, is that what?" I remember him showing me how like he went everything. Hold on to the lorry and just lean back. He said, and just squat down and just take a shit. And I was just like, that is absolutely... And I was like, what about your hands? He went, bit of hand gel, bit of sanitizer, you're good to go. And it's a different world. And they, you know, like when they're made out to be all pigs and all that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they are. Like the vast majority of them anyway.
Yeah.
Like they're all a little bit too right-wing, a little bit misogynist, a little bit racist, a little bit homophobic. Everything that you think a wagon driver is, that's what they are.
Yeah.
It's one of those kind of things. But I didn't mind the wagon driver, it was alright.
It's kind of weird, like, it's quite good having a window into someone else's world, though.
Yeah. He's had some shit jobs.
Well, the first one, we tried to make money, and what's funny as now was we wanted to go to Ibiza, so we started faking you've been friend videos. So we were 17, something like that. We were going down the Castle Hill on my mum's bacon tray, so he was coming down it, and I, like the end, he was pretending to fall. We got kicked out by the council. Didn't the council come?
Shit, yeah.
The council come and said, "You two need to get a life."
And then we went down the river, we went down the beck.
Yeah.
And then we were doing one of those like, he's walking across the branch. Will the branch snap? Like that.
Did you make any money?
Did we fuck?
No, because we did it. The video we used, they can't use that type of video, and it was the wrong thing. We were like, we fell in a river, we've gone down past it. We had like 25 videos.
When he says we, right? I'm the dickhead that always has to do all the shit. Like he's just the one that's standing behind with the camera. Going, yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, nice one.
But that I think that's why comedy, people when they get to 30s, 40s, they're funny because they've got that life experience, isn't it? And I always like comedians when they're talking about what actually happened.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer like stories to jokes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you Peter Kay or Kevin Bridges and people like that, you think some of this has definitely happened or a version of what's happened and stuff like that. And no, I think my worst was job centre and stuff like that. They're hard jobs, aren't they? And
that's a tough job centre.
Well, a lot of the heroin addicts, what they used to do, you've got to apply for 2 jobs. So there's like where the computers are, and you used to call it the pen because it smelled like shit.
Oh, God.
Honestly, it stunk. And what the heroin guys used to do, they would take heroin before they come in. So they'd come in, sit down, the eyes would just roll in the back of their head, and you're like, and you just end up doing it for them. So, do you want to be a bin man there? And then you just apply, and then you just sort of walk them out, and then it's just stuff like that. And the CV workshop, like we've done like a short film on it, taking the piss. I used to take a CV workshop. I can't even spell. My CV's terrible. You'd be like, "Oh, Steve, you've got a 10-year gap in your CV." You'd be like, "Oh yeah, what happened there? You're in jail." No, we'll put between jobs there.
Right. When he says he can't spell, that's not right. We've known each other for 24 years. And he still doesn't know how to spell my name, and that's not a joke. 24 years, and he still thinks that Anthony is spelled Antny. He doesn't think there's an O in it every single fucking time. But what was the one that you done when you worked with the kids?
Oh, I've done youth work as well.
Worker.
Oh,
and I remember him telling me that he'd be walking through through the club, and they'd be like 14-year-olds having like conversations like, well, that's the last time I'm sleeping with him and stuff like that. And I was like, oh Jesus!
You used to have like C-cards, you know, where they get condoms. None of them would ever come to me because I'm too sarcastic. I always went to the woman and that. So you used to have stuff like, it's just like a different world from when we were younger. And I'll always remember we went to Trotter's Farm in Keswick. Yeah. Right, and there's a hawk display. One's called Jasper, it flies around, and we were there. we were the scruffy kids. I was with the scruffy kids. It was like private schools and us.
Yeah.
Flying this hawk around. And the first question is, why is the hawks behind got hoods on? And it's to keep them calm between being displayed. Well, I told some of the kids I was with, because I've been like sarky with them all day, I said, it's to keep them calm. I said, at least get one answer right, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the guy went, okay, everybody, does anyone know why the hawks behind us have got a mask on? Well, my kids put their hands up and I felt they're proud, like a proud dad. And do you know what one of them said? PJ got up and said, they called it gimp mask. It reflects badly on you, doesn't it? You know, like, it's a gimp mask because of dirty birds. And you could see all the private school teachers like, oh my God, who are these children? And before we finish, Nina, I've got to ask you about, like, because you've been in lockdown, like me, I watch Tiger King, stuff like that. You realise how shit TV is. And we were talking about this. Some of the programmes I've watched, like X on the Beach, watch this on, like, demand. Like
I've been watching Married at First Sight in Australia.
Oh, my fucking mum and my sister watched that.
I thought it would never end. 60 episodes of it.
Yeah.
60 hours.
You feel like your brain's dissolving though, doesn't it, when you're watching it? I've only watched a couple of them.
Yeah, it's horrific. And it's like really addictive. It's more addictive than heroin.
What level of desperateness do you go on something like that? Like when do you think
when your stand-up career doesn't work out.
Because the other one is Naked Attraction.
Oh my God!
That is the most fucking program on the planet.
I'm absolutely I'm sort of intrigued by that though. Aren't you a bit intrigued by that?
I'm intrigued by how do you, like, just say you were going on, just Britain's Got Talent, or we were going on X Factor. Imagine in your family, I'm going to be on telly, and like, they say, what you're going to be on, like, or X Factor.
I know.
No, come down with, no. What you on? Get me dick out and that's, you know.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just like, because I don't know how many dicks you've looked at, like.
No, we've seen a fair few. Well, he was a rugby player, so like.
Yeah, you have though. I suppose you have, right?
It's still shocking not to see it on Channel 4.
I have not seen that many vaginas, right? Like apart from like maybe one or two.
Me too.
So, like, I am a little bit like just intrigued about like what other people's look like.
It's that thing like.
Just in isolation.
Well, I've seen one like, and the girl like obviously it comes up and then like and then he'll turn and go no, that's not for me, blah blah, like, and then it comes all the way up and then she comes out and then she's stark bollock naked and she see, never mind, see you later, and then like when they're in the back getting changed, she's going, you know what, I used to have really really low confidence, but this has really built my confidence. But I think, well, you can't have that much fucking low confidence because you just had your minge out one time. So like, you can't
I don't
be
believe
low.
that. I do think you're right though. I think like there's got to be something wrong with you to want to go on it.
It's just like, desperate to be famous for anything.
For
literally
any reason.
15 minutes. Not even 15 minutes.
It's not even you that's famous. It's your minge that's famous.
You'd be lucky if you got voted out quickly and then no one would recognise you from feet upwards. That'd be a bonus.
Like, can you imagine? Like, you get off with someone and you you get down to it and they go, "Oh my God, was that minge? Were you on telly?"
Yeah.
And you know everyone at work's going to be talking about. You're going to be in all the WhatsApp groups and stuff like. Take Me Out's not as bad. Stuff like that. I think, you go on it. It's a bit light-hearted, but. Because that's been cancelled.
Well, it's the same one as about embarrassing bodies, isn't it? Embarrassing bodies never made any bloody sense, would it? Like, so I won't go to my doctor with this rash, but I'm quite happy to get it out on national telly.
Yeah.
No.
That never made any sense, did it?
No, I've got a scab on my cock and I just want to
get
her over here, bring her over here.
Doctor, I'm too embarrassed to go to my actual doctor with actual confidentiality, but I'm going to get it out here. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I remember when I got pulled over by police camera action, and I can remember, like, normally the policeman comes to the car door, just come to the car door, there was a camera, a boom, 3 other guys, and they were like, you have to come in this car. Sat in the car and I was thought, what is happening? I thought it was like, I didn't know what was on. So they had the camera and that, I was in the policeman car. And because there was a camera there, the policeman couldn't have been nice. And normally they're a bit like, arsey, and they're like, hello gentlemen. You know what I mean? Like, hello sir. And they were going, is this a company car? And like, I had that Astra at the time. I thought, a company car?
Who do you think I fucking work for?
This old Astra. And it was quite funny, we had like a sort of funny conversation. I drove right to the police station and said, you've not got the right to use my face on TV. Because that's all you've got to do. That's why I banked out. Got it all sorted. I got a phone call saying, John, it's hilarious. We need it on. And they're saying, we heard that you do comedy. This would be good. And I thought, I can't remember Peter Kay getting his first start on police camera. Do you know what I mean?
Good for you.
what benefit is like being on telly
Good
for
for
no
you.
reason? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's weird.
But loads of people would be tempted by that
Yeah.
on the comedy circuit. Loads of people would be.
That'd be a TV credit.
I got Vox. What do they call it? Vox Poxed.
Vox Pop.
Vox Popped. By Embarrassing Bodies. That's just brought it back to me. But they did. I was in Birmingham City Centre, and they came up and they said, "Oh, could you just like answer a few questions for us?" And they wanted me to come up with as many names as I could think of for bollocks. For it must have been like for some outtakes they were doing.
Starting now.
I know, and I couldn't think of any. Like, I ended up saying, and I've never heard anybody actually ever use this, and I don't even think it's a real one. I ended up saying, fluffy man puppets.
Fluffy man puppets.
It's not even a thing,
No,
is it?
that's not even no. Fluffy man plums.
Fluffy man plums would have been a thing. Fluffy man puppets.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
No. Not until today.
And then I had to watch. I was back to the doctors for that part. I had to watch every episode of bloody Embarrassing Bodies to watch then if I was going to come up on it saying something stupid for
There's no excuse for them being fluffy either.
No.
No, just take a razor to them.
Would you do that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you do that?
Well, I'm not going to go on record as saying I do it. But if they
Do
were
you do that?
if they were fluffy, I certainly wouldn't let them
Oh,
stay
come
fluffy.
on. That's just like... No.
You find out when it's on Channel 4. Naked attraction, slagging it off, and then
Make sure you go to your own podcast.
Smooth man puppets. I mean, they're not puppets, are they?
No.
See, this is what I do under pressure. Like I can't. This is another reason I couldn't be famous. I can't behave.
I can't behave. That's what I mean. I can't behave. I speak weird when
You giggle too much.
I laugh all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd just be no good. You know, like that's how I think. Just dodge away from that sort of era, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But what other things have you been watching on telly while you've been locked down? Because we were saying about like there's just too much time to put in, isn't there?
Oh, it's too much.
Like you end up watching like a box set. You think, would I really watch Police Academy?
I've just started watching The West Wing.
I tried that.
21 years ago it came on, and we've just started watching it now.
We've just started that the other night.
It is
The
pretty
West
good.
Wing. What else did we watch? Oh God, I've watched so much now. Just absolutely tons of stuff. A lot of that Australian thing, and then I started watching 7 Year Switch, which is another one where if you're not getting on with your partner, they send you to live with someone else's partner.
Seems like a good idea, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Do you not? To see if you can, like, they send you to live with someone else's partners that's more like you, to hold up a mirror to you.
Well, as happens, I've been with Manus for 7 years. You've been with yours for 7 years.
You could do this. Like, we could film it.
But this is the thing. I'd rather go and live with him.
Emily.
Yeah.
Emily's lovely. I know Emily.
Emily's lovely, but you know, I don't need to one woman for another woman. I'm fine. Like a few beers, I'd rather do it that way. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else did we get into that we watched hundreds of episodes of.
Do you watch daytime TV? Because that's pretty much if you like antiques or...
I freaking hate those programmes, and I know what you're going to say, that bloody Flog It and all that.
What is it? There's Cash in the Attic.
The best one's Homes Under the Hammer.
Homes Under the Hammer, which is just
Dion Dublin.
tragic.
Oh, it's brilliant, Nina.
Tragic.
No, it's
just
brilliant.
like, basically, you're looking at homes where people have basically been probably chucked up.
Murdered.
Somebody's died, or the homes, they weren't able to make the mortgage repayments.
And as you can see, we've still got the needles with the smack. The blood's still on the wall. That will come off. I love it. I can watch Homes Under the Hammer.
What's the ones where the bio?
They've got the best music on Homes Under the Hammer. I think but they've also got the best soundtrack, I think.
Oh yeah.
They've always got the most tenuous sort of links to whatever the presenters said. They've always got the best.
Yeah, like it'll be like, we're on the rolling hills of Yorkshire today. Rolling. It's fucking awful. Yeah.
Wait, what's the one where they buy houses abroad? I always laugh at that because I never buy them. It's always just
like Homes in the Sun.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
A Place in the Sun.
A Place in the Sun.
You always get like fucking Sharon and Alan from Wigan who's
Yeah.
looking at houses for 500 grand.
Yeah.
Alan currently unemployed and Sharon's a clean. You're like, where's this 500 grand coming from?
Yeah.
We've had a nice little inheritance coming, so we're really going to.
What I would like is a pool, a vineyard, and maybe 3,000 acres.
We think our prospects will be brighter in Marbella.
Yeah.
That's what Chernobyl, isn't it? You're always like, okay, now.
Somewhere for the grandkids to come over and play.
Yeah.
We like it, but we're not sold on it. You're like walking around, cap a tracksuit on, you're like, you're not buying it. You couldn't afford the towels. Just a free holiday, isn't it? But no, Nina, we've took up enough of your time, but cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's just been, I feel like I'm not socially distancing enough, which is why I'm on wheels.
You killed grandma, that's what you're trying to do, you know? That's what people be saying, isn't it?
Yeah, you are.
I've just so loved having your company. It's been so nice, thank you.
Oh, no.
Can you stay?
Well, I'm in work in 3 hours, so I can.
It's just been so lovely. Yeah, thank you for visiting me.
No, that's alright.
And good luck with the rest of your podcasting.
Well, hopefully we'll be on stage soon, so...
Yeah, good. Yeah, no Zoom for us.
Oh, that's what I mean.
That.
No, I'd rather be on the other side of the desk at the job centre.
Yeah.
See what that's like.
At least
Bin man.
stops us watching daytime telly, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Nice one.
Yay.